Hey guys, welcome to the Lucky Draw podcast here for episode 15. As always, you got myself, the Grookey Judge, Shawn Taylor here, fresh off of Portland. We also have my team captain over here, Tiger. I'll let him introduce himself again for any of those new viewers we have out there.
Yeah, I'm Tiger Hickman, the captain of the Goldang Bros team. Yeah, that's about it for me for just a basic introduction.
Yeah. Well, we've recently gained a good bit of new followers. We're almost to that 100 subscribers, and I did say once we get to 100, we'll have some special giveaways. I've been stacking up some stuff back there for my trips around the world. So,
The goodies.
right, tons of goodies. So, if you want a portion of those goodies, help like, subscribe, share, get the channel out there for us. Help spread the word of the bros so that we can grow and everybody gets cool free stuff. I mean, we got NAIC and Worlds coming up too, so I'm gonna have a ton of goodies to be giving up. All right, so
Speaking
go
of
ahead.
NAIC and Worlds, uh, Sean has already gotten his invite to do some judging at Worlds. I am now in a scary spot because we thought that I was safe, uh, but there's a lot of people that squeaked into the 700 point range after Portland. I did not do too well at Portland, so I didn't gain any extra points to replace anything. Luckily, I am going to NAIC, so that still gives me a chance to gain a few extra points to keep me in the race. I'm not knocked out yet. I'm
By no
at
means.
yeah, I'm at 111th. I went and looked at where like roughly the 35 to 30 to 140 point placements are, and they're still sitting in like the mid 600s. So these guys have to replace a lot, and also me not gain any more points from NAIC to bump me out. Like I could get pushed all the way to the bottom of the barrel, but bottom of the barrel is still in contention though.
Yeah, so as you guys will hear on this episode, the next couple weeks is pretty much just prepping you as much as you can to make a very, very strong run at NAIC and help solidify that spot. So overall, like we said, Portland unfortunately pushed Tiger back a little bit on the rankings, but we did have a regional out there. It was kind of fun. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say it wasn't the greatest, but it wasn't the best. I believe Portland was pretty chill. The city itself is kind of ridden with homeless, that's for sure. So if you do go um, Portland proper, like inside the city, always travel in groups. Have a friend with you, especially late at night. Just be safer that way. But otherwise, the city was pretty walkable, pretty flat, lots of buildings and stuff. Got to walk around, take a few pictures. If I get a chance, I'll put a little video in here. Maybe some of the videos before we start talking. Um, but I mean, it was fun. The hotel was nice. I got to go to a bunch of barcades. That's been my thing. I'll have to throw a list up. So every city we go to, I try to find a barcade to either chill at, set up a big party at the end of the weekend, or even I myself just go and hang out, play the games. I'm a big gamer, all different stuff. I played Galaga for probably 30 minutes. Got so close to the high score, couldn't get there again. Um,
The
but yeah,
gaming.
yeah, how was it for you, Tiger?
I mean, the food was okay there. I don't have anything exponentially excited to say yes or no about. We did try the voodoo donuts that everybody was talking about. Those were pretty good.
Mm,
But like, was not a fan overall. Like, it might have just been our overall experience from the travel. We got there, our rental car didn't work for us. The hotel was not as good as it appeared online. Um, just plus of having a bad run, and you were right about the homeless people getting asked 3 4 times in a row, hey, can I have money? Was not a fan of it. Like, it just was not a personally good experience, and probably will not be going back next year unless it's absolutely needed for point wise. um One positive, I did get to meet my newest student in the juniors division. She's out of Canada, so this was her second regional. ever, so she was excited. Um, but that's about it. Uh, was the convention center was looked like it was set up really well, but then they had like weird table number issues. Uh, I had a bunch of people I talked to that were like searching for tables, and then they would be walking down the aisle and be like, all right, I'm in the right areas," and then look to the other side, like other regionals where you see, let's say 631, and then there's a gap for the next table, and that should be where 630 starts, and that was not what happened. It would be like 200 something because they made a really weird J shape with the tables. Um, Also, my round one, I didn't even have a table. I went to go find my spot, and they didn't plan properly, so they took me and my opponent all the way to the very back, behind everybody playing, and just had us sit at a random table to do our match.
Yeah, layout was definitely one of the kind of, I don't want to say negative, but one of the bigger points I heard. The floor plan from our side when we got it looked great. When we get there and you see how far things really are, that is always something at a regional. One thing I can just say to kind of, I don't want to say avoid that, but help yourself with that is definitely get a good layout when you get there. If you have a chance to get there Friday, um, granted things change, but on Friday you'll at least have a general idea of where you'll start playing on Saturday. If it's NAIC, Thursday is the day for that. You'll be able to start seeing where things are at. But yeah, no, I mean, I feel bad for you, Tiger. It happens. As a judge, I've seen it happen. Things are oversighted. Everybody's human. Tables get laid
Yeah.
out. This, I will say, Portland was definitely a, I don't want to say training ground, but there was a lot of newer judges. Strictly because let's just be real. For my month exactly, I went Milwaukee, Boston, Portland. A lot of judges can't do that, right? They just can't take the time off. A lot of them are prepping for NAIC and Worlds. A lot of them have gotten their invites. They know where they're going. They're planning their travel accordingly. So again, they're just not able to do Portland because they have prior obligations now to go to a much bigger tournament, the one that we all look forward to at the beginning of the season. So, I mean, it's tough, but on that aspect, I got to really train and work firsthand with a lot of new judges and help them find their ways. That was one cool thing about being a on-demand side events coordinator, not just a judge, not just making calls, but actually coordinating or people moving, as I was calling it, and it was really getting a lot of laughs that way. But it's as simple as that. It is people moving at my stage. It's taking these judges and putting them where they're needed over here. It's understanding that so and so needs to go to the cup because they're an assistant head judge. So they're no longer part of this team. I need to make a account for them going over here by bringing someone else over here or just adjusting without them. So,
But what I'm getting is Shawn got to become Fancy Pants McGee over there, top
yeah,
of
a little
the
bit.
top of the sides.
A little
He
bit. I
is
mean,
he's
that's
a big rookie on campus.
leadership has been a goal of mine because I know I have skills that extend past Pokemon. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I'm the most well rounded technical judge there is. I know a good bit about Pokemon. I can judge tournaments, don't get me wrong. But when we put in aspects of some other judges that literally know the game in and out, left and right, up with it, playing with their players, I like the kitchen table play. I haven't hid that. That's where I like to shine. I like to sit and play and talk and figure things out. And that helps me learn what I need to watch for on the floor versus literally playing competitively and trying to, I don't know, beat Mr. 111th over here on a constant basis.
Yeah, 111th is still pretty scary though.
It
I mean,
is.
it's I am not feeling as good as I did going into Portland when I was sitting at 97th. I mean, I know that's only 5 spots, but like that's still a lot.
Well,
Well,
that's what the
4
coordinator
spots.
people mover is here for. I will hype this man up. Trust me, we'll be hyped and ready to go. Because I think you, a little bit to be worried about, of course. I mean, if you weren't worrying, you wouldn't be human. Sure,
Right.
there are many people out there watching now that either are or know people in the same boat. maybe their players in their league, maybe they don't actually go for it, but maybe they have a player in their league that's in the same boat that's like floating. So
There is a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. I was wrong about the placements for IC. The points are actually higher than what I thought it was. Um, so I thought that what is it? The 512 was only 60 points. Is actually 80. So
do some
let
maths
me
real
go
quick.
ahead and do some math. Well, that'll give me an extra. That would give me 40 more points than where I'm at, which would put me at 640. And 640. I mean 740. Apologize, guys. We'll put would be at currently uh the 740 marker for players. The bottom of it is 87th.
Okay, so that kind of puts
But
you almost back to where you were.
right, and but that also means that there's other players that can get there as well.
Yeah. So, and then for the newer viewers or the ones that aren't so, you know, into Pokemon, the ICs are touted as bigger tournaments because they are international championships, is what we're saying when we say ICs. So throughout the year, you have, well, you used to have four, now you only have three. So you had LAIC, EUIC, and NAIC. And traditionally, NAIC has been the biggest and the last tournament before Worlds. So, to clarify a little more on what we're talking about, is that now we have one big last chance aside from a regional pop up in the European circuit that we definitely have no chance to go to.
Yeah, it's coming this weekend.
Yeah.
We're not shooting for that one. Like
No, 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 no.
it's not worth the hassle, the effort, the jet lag to get over there, mess up, and come back just to grind for the next format.
Yeah, so NAIC is probably the big last shot for most of these players out there to get the points they need to get to be comfortable in that ranking and call themselves world's competitors.
Yeah, that is the truth. There is a lot of people that is their goal. Actually, my round 8 opponent that I hit at Portland got the goal that they were shooting for. They had 680 points when when going into Portland, and his goal was to get a 128 to replace something and gain 20 points. And that's exactly what he did. He's sitting now. He has exact same points as me, sitting at 700. So congratulations to that last round opponent. Wish it would have been me.
Yeah.
But for those of you who followed and watched the live stream that we did at Portland, I did play Guardy. It was a Guardy mirror for the finals. I beat 2 of the 3 Guardies I hit. But like a lot of matches, I should have been able to win, but we could not get through game 3 fast enough. There were a lot of newer or less experienced players over on the West Coast, and this was like one of their first few regionals, or um, just were too scared to be aggressive because they would rather, in their mind, 1 point is better than no point. But they're in the event so many times that hurts you more. Just finish your games, guys. A Going 6-2-1 is going to be, or 5-2-1 or whatever it is, will be better for you going into the next event than going in 4-0-4 or something of that nature. Because your opponent's win percentage helps you. If you go 4-0-4, 4 of your opponents didn't get a win or a loss off you, so it doesn't do anything for their win percentage to help you get a higher placement. Yes, you squeaked into day 2, but you are worse off going in 4-0-4 than the people that are going in 5-2-1 or 6-2-1.
Agreed. We've talked about it before on here. I'm sure it's definitely a topic we'll visit again. Is finish your games. Like ties, a few ties are all right. Tying a game that's tough makes sense. But if your whole prerogative is to tie the game because you just don't want to lose, you're not helping yourself or anybody else.
Right. That happened to me quite a few times. I would win game 1 or we lose game 1, win game 2 really fast, and game 3 they would slow down their play, not enough to where you could call a slow play, but they were thinking too hard for too long because they just didn't want to lose. So there came to be a point where a lot of players' mentality would shift to how do I not lose? Not how do I win, it's just how do I not lose? And that is not really in the spirit of the game, but I understand it's your first regional or you're just trying to not get knocked out of contention. Things like that happen. I get it. But finishing matches should be more on the priority of most players. The slowing the game down to do one game out of 50 minutes and then not finishing a second is becoming more and more of players' prerogative. I want to win game one because my skill lets me do it, and then I'm just going to play extremely slow in game two so I don't have to worry about it. I could have done that so many times at Portland and had probably a way better record, but I don't like cheesing people. I want to win legitimately. So I would stop the Badoo lock, or I would uh, be more aggressive on earlier turns to start taking the prize trade. And that hurt me in the end because I didn't play cheesy.
Got it. Overall, though, on Portland, we did have some bright news come out of the juniors division.
That we did.
Our reigning top West Virginia junior claimed another regional crown. Luke Giffen got first place playing Zardpole. He versed Guardy Annabelle, another very uh, storied player who's been in the finals, been there many times. So that does poise him to be one of the top three, I believe we were talking to him,
Yeah, he
in
said he's
our
in top 3 in North America.
top three in North America, top 16 worldwide. So that is pretty cool to call one of our own in West Virginia one of those, as well as someone else who's been on our show, Devin Ramanathan, got a top eight, continuing his tear through the season as a senior player. I still say it to this day. He's probably one of the most accomplished senior players that I have personally seen and dealt with, and I've been to a lot of tournaments to see a lot of players. But kid is constantly on the grind, always at the tournaments. Doesn't matter what his record is always there to work. So I mean, be on the lookout for him for sure. These two are gonna make some noise at Worlds.
Any of you seniors that are watching it, I want you to hold it to Devin. He made a comment on Twitter, tagged me in something, and I said, all right, so that means you're going to win NAIC or Worlds. And he said he's going to do both. So let's
Let's
give him
do it.
all the shade. Flame him if he doesn't do this. We want to put Devin on point for this. Like he said he's going to win NAIC and Worlds. Let's hit him if he doesn't.
That'd be a story for the casters and our show right there, wouldn't it be? It'd be
But
crazy.
yeah, we talked to put it on Twitter beforehand, put it on the podcast early, and be like, we were there.
So otherwise, on the percentages, and then we'll go over the seniors and masters. Most played was Polk. I don't. They didn't break it up, so you let your imagination decide on how much of what Polk. 16% Guardian second, 13% Bolt, 10% Terravox, and then I kind of put fifth and sixth in because they were same percentage. 9% Flareon, 9% Joltic Box. So hearing those numbers, we also have the finishes from seniors and masters real quick, and then we'll go into how we feel about those. In seniors, Joltic won versus Enzorark. And then you had a Guardy Mirror and Masters, so obviously a Guardy came out on top. But Tiger, what do you say about the percentages, the finals, and the divisions? What's your feeling on that?
Um, Barty winning another one is just almost at this point just poetic that everybody wrote it off for this season, and it's got the most wins of any deck. Uh, for seniors, Joltic Box winning isn't super unpopular as a thought, but in general, seniors like to be methodical. They want to show and be skill expressive and outplay their opponents. The fact that somebody won seniors with Joltic Box just shows that sometimes you just got to play the meta. You don't have to be the best player in the room or have the best deck in the room to just win matches because everybody else is trying to play harder. Like just in the workforce, work smarter, not harder. Play smarter, not harder.
Yeah, exactly. I want to get a T-shirt that says that.
But good on him. In theory, Joltik Box should have like an auto win against Zoroark. For anybody who doesn't understand how that works, Zoroark doesn't have a way to one-shot Pikachu unless they're playing the poison package, and most aren't. Uh, he could play random things, I guess, but there's no real reason to shove a poison package in there, and none of them are playing Dangerous Laser, which would only get through one anyway. Dangerous Laser, for anybody who is competitive and doesn't actually know what the card is an A spec that you just burn and confuse your opponent. But yeah, Zoroark can't one shot a Pikachu, so that means Pikachu can go do 2 attacks back to back if powered up correctly, or they just chain 2 Pikachus. Also, early game aggression with Iron Hands to just go 2, 4, 6 is the goal. Some lists play Baby Galvantula, which it's 80 plus 50 if it has a lightning energy, plus 50 more if your opponent's active Pokemon has an ability. So that's 180, and Zoroark is weak to grass, so it would hit it for 360. If they're still playing the Iron Leaves, that's another just one-shotter. So it's just very, very unfavored for Zoroark. The Joltik Box player would have to literally start Joltik a bunch of energies pass.
Yeah, that does make sense. I mean, that was the one thing we talked about Joltik Box when it was first coming up. Go back in the videos, you'll see us talking about it. I believe it was the topic of one of our videos because it was popping.
It was.
But yeah, going 2-4-6, I know that from Dango, that's the goal. Yeah, I mean, when you can do that with Iron Hands, when you can do that with Pikachu, like you said, without being able to knock the Pikachu out, you can't put damage counters on it very easily. That gives the Pikachu 2 easy knockouts on the Zoroark. Um,
Mm-hmm.
definitely, definitely makes sense on why that one won there. Um, I don't know. I like we talked about earlier before the call here, on the call before the show. I don't want to call it stale meta, but like we said, Guardy winning again, poetic and kind of expected. We talked, we knew what was going to be there. I don't think any of those 6 there are any surprise. It was a matter
Nope.
of where they finished percentage wise and who was actually able to claim the crown.
Now, one big thing that people are ranting and raving about right now, out of Masters, Code Scroll EX made top 16.
Mm-hmm.
A unplayed card in the meta since it came out. People tried making it work. But what this deck does is Toadstool's attack is 2 grass energies, 80 plus 40 for every Pokemon that has a grass, every one of your bench Pokemon that has a grass energy attached. So at 5 Pokemon on the bench, that's 280. Well, let's throw an Area Zero in there with a Teal Mask Ogre Pawn for acceleration. Now we can have 8 on the bench. So we add an extra, 120 to that. So it can one hit 400 HP Pokemon. That's more than anything in the format, even with a Hero's Cape. The only thing in the next format that could survive that, theoretically, is a max defense Garchomp or, Steven's Metagross. So, like,
Okay.
Cynthia's Garchomp has the tool that gives it an extra 100 HP, and Steven's Metagross has a bunch of defensive things to make it reduce. Put a Hero's Cape on it, you're 440. Put the Stadium, you're 470. Put the Carbink, you have 500 effective HP because of all the damage reduction. I don't know anything that can hit that hard other than maybe like Chin Pow and Raging Bolt, and even then they're gonna have to take a couple turns to wind that up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean but also those are cards that we've yet to see yet because Destined Rivals is just now dropping at most of your stores, so also be on the lookout for that. Well, what else? So, okay, my other note I have here before we move on from Portland meta and like kind of looking at the transition into getting ready for NAIC with the introduction of Shaman. We've talked about this. I'm pretty sure we're going to spend a couple minutes on that. Is this the last stop for Terrabox or decks that spread damage to the bench? What's your take?
So let's start with what Shaman does. Shaman
Mm-hmm.
is an 80 HP grass Pokemon with an ability that stops bench sniping on non-rule box Pokemon, specifically non-rule box, which is key. So that means that things like uh, Wellspring or Baby Bolt or the Marnie's Grimmsnarl or uh, Screamtail. All of these things can still go after Pokemon like Squawkabilly, Pheasantipity, any of these non-Terra basics that have moderate HP. They can still go after these guys and hit them pretty hard. But what that does do is means that Wellspring Mass can't go turn 2 double KO your only 2 Ralts, or your only 2 Charmanders, or whatever 2 babies you have to make the deck function, which then makes Shaman good. But does that make Wellspring bad? Not necessarily. Wellspring still has the ability to use Sob, which is an important effect.
Mm-hmm.
But is Sob enough to make Wellspring worth keeping in decks? Maybe, maybe not. But Shaman alone is going to come back to the whole, how do I build my deck? Does Shaman mean I can't play these cards? Does Shaman mean that this deck is bad? As Shawn and I talked a little bit before earlier, we got into the podcast of what was the biggest card that had this kind of effect? Badoo and Regidrago. And Regidrago went down a lot because it was scared of Badoo. It made decks so much more impactful into it. Because Badoo plus Manaphy was enough for Gardevoir to fight back against Regidrago. Badoo plus 1 turn to get all of your guys out of range from Kieran. Or Kiram, I apologize. Those were the things that Badoo did, which were some of the better win cons for Regidrago. If we take away one of the better win cons to spam Wellspring against, does that make it bad? I mean, it still has other attackers, but it might fall down a lot. We might see more of a Wellspring in something of like Eevee Box, where they can go Angelite, throw the Shaman and something else back into the deck. Do you have response? No. Cool. Now I Wellspring.
That makes sense. Clear the hurdle, and then continue said plan. So, in that sense, maybe it's not the end, but we definitely see some changes depending, I should say, on how much Shaman is played. I know I'll be looking to include it in my GLC. We've already got card plucked and place put in for it. So, and we'll have more on that here in just a little bit.
Jungle Titans rise again.
Jungle Titans will rise. So yeah, I mean that was the last little token I had on Portland. Like I said, other than that, great last end of the regional. I was glad to complete my goal of getting all the North American regionals. Completeness. U.S. World Tour, I guess to call it, all the North American regionals, NAIC, and Worlds. So, I mean, I'm pretty happy with that. That'll make 11 Pokemon specific events, not counting packs and a possible Gen Con and other things. So, pretty happy with that. But what's next for the bros is the question.
What's next for the bros is the question. What next for the bros?
So, yeah, go ahead, Tiger.
I was gonna say, we as a bros of the two, we will be in Ohio this coming weekend. So as you're seeing this get uploaded, we will be on our drive to Ohio to the Full Grip Game 6K. 3K for a standard event tournament and 3K for a GLC. I will be playing in the standard because I can't standard in GLC. And I'm fine with GLC. It's a fun format. It's just not for me. It's a little too slow. The one-ofs are fine. Prize checking is just abysmal because you literally have one of everything. Now, that might just be something that not a whole lot of people do in GLC is prize check too much because you have so many one-ofs, you probably have a line to do whatever you want eventually. But that is more the Grookey judge himself's forte playing GLC. I have 3 decks lined up that I am going to be working on for this event. I have one in the front runner. The big thing about this event is it's going to be NAIC format, so we will get plenty of practice here. I have Charizard as my front runner. Oh no, Charizard played it to 2 other events this year, hasn't he? Yeah, Charizard seems pretty good right now. With rise in popularity of people liking Marnie's Grimmsnarl, Charizard kind of can squeak in on the back foot of that. It's the same concept of a deck. I have a big stage 2 dark Pokemon that self-accelerates. Well, what makes Charizard in a better spot? Grimmsnarl kind of beats the decks that Charizard was scared of. It has a really good Dragapult matchup, and it has a really good Guardy matchup. Charizard's not super scared of Guardy because you've got Dust Noir, you're a dark Pokemon, you have 330 HP, you're a pretty big dude. But, like, Dragapult is a scary guy. And Frostlass, Munkidori, Grimmsnarl, Spread, Devo, Body, Punch, yada yada yada, is not good for Dragapult when their draw engine is a 90 HP stage 1 with an ability.
Yeah. So.
The other two decks that I'm looking at is Eevee Box with a Leafeon, or I might actually consider Toedscruel. Matchup spread's pretty good. It's people will probably be testing against it, but I don't think anybody's going to tech against it.
Yeah, nice word, nice wording there. I like that.
And for you, sir, what's the GLC looking like? Because there was some big changes, especially for colorless, wasn't there?
Yes, yes. So to backtrack just a little bit, I will be your judge on Saturday for anybody that happens to be going full grip. So be on the lookout there. I'll probably find my way on the camera. I did last time, so we'll see if we don't see Grookey judge on stream this time with the Grookey and everything because I am planning to judge. I've already made that ahead of time, and then Sunday I'll be rocking Jungle Titans again. I'm working on my steel one, but I just don't think it's ready, and I don't have the reps in. Something changes between now and then. I might be able to run it, but we'll be testing it, trying to flesh that out because that's my next project. But the changes are colorless lost a lot of powerful pieces, and those were the main decks I lost to last time up at full grip. Colorless, I played five out of. Oh, I only played 5 rounds because I left a couple rounds early. 3 of the 5 were colorless. One was fighting, another one was grass, another grass. But those 3 colorless ran through me because they had multiple copies of. You had double turbo, twin energy, and oh my gosh, double colorless. So those 3 cards got banned from GLC, effected a few weeks ago, because essentially they are the same exact card, which kind of breaks the rule of GLC because they're only supposed to be one-ofs. So in that sense, the colorless was able to really be able to ramp up and had 3 different options, like Tiger alluded to have another line to get that attack popping. And yeah, there was just no way for me to set up my Grass Titans because I need about 2 turns to really get things set. Maybe more if the pieces aren't there.
Now, which ones got banned? Was it double colorless or double turbo or twin? Which one was actually the one that got banned, or are they just only allowed to play one?
Double Turbo is the only one allowed to play. It was seen as, I guess, the most fair one because it does take the damage away to counteract the fact that you're getting 2 energies. Because that was the one thing with Twin and Double Colorless is they didn't have any of that. They were just 2 colorless energies attached. A lot of the GLC attackers have a 2 energy cost, or you can prep one ahead of time for that 3 energy cost and really hit them big on that turn too. And that's what really was the deciding factor on that. So you are still able to play double turbo energy. You are not allowed to play twin or double colorless.
Now, did they play reversal energy? Not reversal. What is counter energy? The one where if you're behind in prizes, it can count as 2 of any color. Does it play
Yeah,
that as well?
counter is allowed to play. Some decks do play counter energy. I see counter a lot more in lightning spread. I'm thinking
That's
about
for
putting
the
counter.
Raikou, right?
Yes, yeah, and I'm thinking about putting a counter energy into the metal because there might be a lot of times where I start pretty slow, and the metal attackers I have a high cost. Metal transfer can only do so much, so the idea there would be if a counter energy is available, I can get say Metal to be swinging big after a
Yeah.
metal transfer too, and in the attachment of a counter energy, and that will cover it after going down a prize or two.
Right. As a used as a come from behind mechanic, which is something these GLC decks are built around. The fact that since they're single prize, that Yes, it is hard to do 6-1 prizes as a comeback, but a lot of these decks, like the spread decks and whatnot, are meant to take multi prizes at the end of the game. So they use a lot of these come from behind tactics.
Yep. So that's our plan for this weekend. We'll do a little touring in Ohio. It looks like possible plan to go out to some Jungle Gyms, the international snack store, I guess. I'm thinking of like a Walmart with this international snacks. Is from what Tiger is
Uh,
explaining.
yeah, I've been to Jungle Gyms once before. It has a like 5 aisle cheese department, a bunch of candies from across the world. Has just different types of food. They have a deli. They have a candy department that's bigger than a Walmart. It's the size of Jungle Gyms. When you pick up the map, they give you a map at the beginning of it. Says it's the average size of about 4 WalMarts. So if you've walked around a Walmart once, let's say you had to walk around 4 times, and if you miss something, you got to walk around that thing 4 more times. So
Yeah.
it's a pretty big thing. So we've got a pretty big Friday planned for us. Gonna go check out the Jungle Gyms. Then we're gonna go see a card show, and then we're gonna go check in at Full Grip.
Yep. So we'll have more for you on that this weekend. Like I said, this will drop before that. We'll probably do some live or another on the spot interview. I like to do that. Well, not necessarily interview, possible interview, but on the spot live, I should say. Um, Talking a little bit about our time up there.
Yeah, maybe
And this,
we can see somebody halfway decent in the rankings, or just a fan favorite there to get a quick interview. I know Shawn was wanting to hit up with the Cardboard Warriors to get another GLC interview as well. Maybe
yeah,
we could
I
be
have
running two of them, get a GLC one and a standard player one. And you
yeah,
said you've got one lined up.
I'm not lined up, but I have a bunch of people that are really wanting to, and because the line got kind of long on like that, I basically told them, show me a spicy list, do well at GLC, and we'll talk. So essentially, putting out that requirement, that prereq to do something, and I don't necessarily mean it has to be super spicy, but spicy in the fact that you went 5-1 or 4-2 and got close to top, and it's like wow, that inclusion of that card is huge. Let's talk about it, type deal. So, if anybody out there from Cardboard Warriors or that's going out there is playing and you want to be on the podcast, get a chance to get interviewed, uh, go out, play your deck, do well, and we'll see if we pick you out. Like, nothing special. We're not trying to like get the certain person or favoritism. Just whatever catches the eye. Whatever if you've watched, we're not trying to be the most competitive or the most correct. Just what do people want to see?
Right, like we like spice here. In
Yep.
this kitchen, it is spicy or nothing.
Yes.
But in general, yes, like we want to see something good. We want if you're going to be bringing the GLC, we know that I don't play it, and even I know there's a GLC meta. And if you're
Mm-hmm.
bringing something off meta and you do well with it, I want to see it. Like if you playing
Mm-hmm.
some type of random control list that people ain't seen, I want to see it. You're playing some type of uh, anti earthquake shenanigans, like I want to see it. Like I like to see the interaction of cards, even though I don't play the game.
Yes. You never know what ideas that brings into the standard game. It does sometimes, maybe not the actual cards because they aren't legal, but
Right,
the ideas or the mechanics or the thought processes behind setting this up in GLC. Maybe it's possible in standard when a new card comes out because these things come back, people.
Shawn. I do have a ruling question that I wasn't 100% sure on, but
Okay.
we can go ahead and throw that on here. So for other people that may have this question as well, a Hoot Hoot with a Bravery Charm has 100 HP, has 100 damage on it. They go to evolve into Noctowl. Do you get to Jewel Seeker before it dies, or does it instantly die?
So say
And the
that
reason
one
why I
more
have the
time.
question,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
a Hoot Hoot with a Brave Charm has 120 HP. If it
Mm-hmm.
has 100 damage on it and then evolves into Noctowl, Noctowl only has 100 HP. Do you get to Jewel Seeker before it dies, or does it instantly die?
That is actually a very tough one. But go ahead with the reason on why you're asking, because I cut you
The
off.
reason why is because comparatively, when Ting Lu EX has the ability, if something has a damage counter on it and it's not an EX Pokemon, it turns off the ability. We had a ruling about that for Gapejaw Bog, Tinglu, and Lumineon V. So Lumineon V got to come into play and instantly gets the damage counters, but we had the option to choose if we wanted to use the ability or not before the damage counters went on. So is that how that would work for Noctowl as well?
In my okay, so I haven't seen this one, and mind you, past 6 months probably I've been a lot of sides and haven't dealt with a lot of these interactions. But basing that off of what Lumineon had, and Noctowl does say when you play this Pokemon to evolve, you get to search. It doesn't necessarily say the Pokemon has to stay on the field or remain. The effect can happen, and then the Bravery Charm will then fall off because Bravery Charm only affects basic Pokemon. So, in my opinion, and again, like I said, I could be wrong. We are all human. Using the Lumineon as a basis, you would be able to search, but then as soon as that search would happen, that Pokemon would be knocked out because you did evolve it, and evolving it is actually what caused it to be knocked out.
That was the original assumption that I came up with as well when I got asked the question, but I don't have as much experience actually answering questions as you do. So I figured this would be another one of those spicy questions that we could bring to the table because I would assume that the only deck that comes to mind that has Brave Charms and Noctowls in it is Raging Bolt, and I would assume that that's what happened is that somebody threw a brave charm. Oh, excuse me, threw a brave charm onto a hoot hoot, so it would survive like a baby, like a mirror attack, like a baby bolt or something. That would put some damage on it,
Mm-hmm.
and they weren't sure if that would work or not. That's just another one of those weird interactions. Like I asked Shawn the other day. I had a Mew EX with a bravery charm that had 200 damage on it, and I retreated it and then played Jamming Tower to bump my Pokemon off because I had Area Zero up. And the question was, do I KO the Mew or does it get discarded first? And we came to the conclusion that Area Zero triggers first because it says when this is removed, you have to go back to original board state of 5 Pokemon. So I got to bypass the Jamming Tower KOing my Mew because it was discarded because the Area Zero left.
And then the
So
jamming tower takes effect, but at that point, that Pokemon with the tool on it no longer exists, so it doesn't matter.
correct, and that was the other piece of why I was asking the Noctowl question. That would that still work in the chain of effects that the Noctowl triggers, and then it would die or get KO'd because Pokemon don't die, guys.
They don't. They just faint.
So
KO.
for any of you watching, and I will get back to the person that reached out to me about that question for what the general consensus is. And if there's any judge out there who actually knows a specific that we were wrong that was watching this, please put in the comments. We want to make
Let me
sure that
know.
we are spreading right information.
Yeah, I like to learn. I mean, that's why I've been doing this. And sometimes these weird interactions, the only way that we have as judges to even learn about them is to go back to previous examples that are similar. And with your Luminion example, that is as similar as I can think because of the first couple words. When you play this, it is played, and then the other thing can't happen unless it's played, if that makes sense, without kind of being too cryptic there, because like it's too many more words, and then we get into specifics of what the card is doing. But again, keywords like when you play this, or what's another keyword? May. May is a big keyword.
Mm-hmm.
If you see May, that means you have usually have an option of 0, 1, 2, 3, or however many card calls for. Um, and I'm sure we'll get into another situation where that is played.
Oh, another big one that I guess why we're on this topic for another half second. Another big one that I keep getting people to message me about. This is pretty common knowledge for most players, but anyone new or just generally checking their interaction knowledge, why can't you play a night stretcher for nothing?
Mm. So read Night Stretcher one time. I know you know it pretty probably better than
Uh,
I do.
you can pull a basic energy or Pokemon out of your discard pile and put it into your hand.
Okay, so I got a question or I got an idea, not a question. Instead of us answering it, why don't we see if we can get some comments in the bottom of this video on why people think you can't play it, and let's hear what you have to say.
I like it. And we will answer it in the next one. I think that sounds good. That we will
Yes.
confirm or deny whether you are right or wrong
Yes. So I think
of
that's a good
why
thing. Yeah.
Night Structure cannot be a failed card.
Cool beans. And on that note, I think that's all we got. Of course, we got NAIC coming up. We're gonna have an episode or two before that, cooking up some things in the kitchen for you. Don't want to shoot
Might
too
have a
many
special guest
details.
that lots of people know.
Yes, yes. You know how we are with our special guests. So we're cooking up some guests coming up. So we'll have more for you when it's all for sure. We got time, dates, stuff like that. I want to make sure it's all the ducks lined in a row. But for now, the next time you hear from us will be in Akron, Ohio at the Full Grip 6K. It's a doubleheader, standard NAIC format, and GLC with the new rules.
All right, guys. Stay lucky.
Stay lucky.